So a first word from Dana Rudyard, because what we're doing is exploring a little bit more of the astrological side of the lightning path. And Rudyard would be the great granddaddy of contemporary astrology. So I always like to go to his really concise statements. And this is one of them. The goal of astrology is the alchemy of personality. It is to transform chaos into cosmos, collective human nature into individual and creative personality. So the natal horoscope, we can consider it to be a mandala of individual selfhood. And another quote from Rudyard: all the contents of the mandala of personality acquire their meaning by being related to the center. They are potentially, if not actually, powers which the central I should be able to use in order to express itself. Another great granddaddy of contemporary, in this term, psychology, Carl Jung, speaks to this whole notion of the integrated I, and he termed it individuation. Individuation is a process of transformation whereby the personal and collective unconscious are brought into consciousness, for example, by means of dreams, active imagination, or free association, to be assimilated into the whole personality. It is a completely natural process necessary for the integration of the psyche. Individuation has a holistic healing effect on the person, both mentally and physically. It's certainly been my experience with astrology. On the lightning path, astrological symbolism is used to symbolically bridge individual human destiny to the ancient and recurrent Mesoamerican myth of the feathered serpent. The myth of the feathered serpent, The myth of the feathered serpent is found in various cultures of Mesoamerica, such as the Teotihuacanos, Aztec, and Maya. It revolves around a deity characterized by a combination of avian and serpent attributes. Fundamentally, this deity represents the dualities of life and death, creation and destruction, and often serves as a symbol of cultural and cosmic balance. It is associated with knowledge, agriculture, and the cycles of nature, and its appearance and actions in the myth vary across different cultures and time periods. Ultimately, the essence of the myth is a complex fusion of spirituality, cosmology, and cultural identity, as evidenced in Mesoamerican societies for thousands of years. So in this current era, my synthesis of the work of Rudyard, and specifically the lunation cycle, and Jose Arguelles with his Mayan factor, this integration or synthesis has resulted in this notion of temples of birth, that in fact each one of us is born into a, let's call it a, it's an ethereal temple of the cosmic imagination. So the way we determine the temple of birth for any given individual or for any particular time span, the way we can do that is through my book, The Lightning Path, but also on the website, where under the title, The Book of Electrum, we have this charting of lunar years. So a lunar year of 13 synodic moon cycles. And the Book of Electrum charts all of the 13 moon years back to 1894, I believe it is, and right on up into 2020s. So the process involves just knowing what date you're looking for, and dropping down the list until you find the lunar year within that person was born. It's just a matter of locating the context for the birth. For example, that previous run down the Book of Electrum, I find Carl Jung's birth. And what it implies is that this is the very first feature that we're looking at when it comes to the Temple of Birth, is the hieroglyph of the 7th moon, because that hieroglyph is like the commanding overseer of all of the other moons in that group of 13. You can see here the 1st and the 13th are horizontally on the same level, the 2nd and the 12th, and so on. So there's all this pairing, but when you get to the 7th stands alone. So it is that commanding overseer kind of presence. So as I say, this is the introduction to really a vast interconnected web of spiritual gifts, really, that await each one of us. And they're very specifically unique to each of us. And that's the astrological factor that's bringing that forth. Because it is the commanding 7th hieroglyph in the series of 13 that characterizes a person's temple of birth, this is a good place for a person to begin the process of embodying the sacred knowledge awaiting them. The process goes like this. Once you have determined your temple of birth, begin by simply imaging forth the 7th moon hieroglyph denoting your temple. Then allow your imagination, and this is what the sort of thing that Carl Jung was encouraging, allow your imagination to freely and spontaneously expand on whatever comes to you in the moment. If your intent is sincere, you will begin to receive directly the threads of sacred knowledge assigned to you as a cosmic birthright. Deepening of your experience can be facilitated by exploring the Lightning Path website, where are located a list of associated keywords and mudras, as well as a list of exemplars born in each temple. Also found there are invocations and stories by people born in the various Lightning Path temples. So the temples of the Lightning Path are arranged in groups here, in groups of 20. So these are consecutive seasons that run through from 1986. It was in March of 1986 that I virtually discovered this realm. And we go then to 2070 to go through all of the temples. And this is shall we say, this arises because of the integration of moon cycles and the orbit of planet Uranus. Each one of these 20 temple runs take, in fact, 21 years. And 21 years is exactly 1/4 of the orbit of Uranus. So what we have here are the 4 seasons of Uranus, the 4 seasons of its journey around the sun, very distinct seasons. And this is a novel use of the Mayan Solcan calendar to have it relating to planet Uranus through the lunation cycle. In addition to determining individual temples of birth, the Book of Electrum can also be used to explore past and future events with an eye to revealing the meaning of those events within the context of the lightning path. In like manner, as is the process of finding a temple of birth, simply locate within the Book of Electrum the lunar year within which a particular event occurs. This will automatically indicate what temple is associated with it. So, for example, here's going to 9/11. You know, what sector of the calendar grid did 9/11 correspond to? And as we see here, very significantly, number 11 and hieroglyph Ben. And I've written up kind of a story all around that particular connection elsewhere on the website if you get it, if you want to pursue that further. There's some definite synchronicity going on there. And more recently, I'm relating the emergence of the myth of the feathered serpent. I'm linking that up to the Freedom Convoy back in January of 2020, because I got on track with that, the convoy early on, very, very early on, and rode it all the way into Ottawa via my internet connection. And I really think that what was manifested there is totally in keeping with the values concentrated in the feathered serpent myth. You know, it was peaceful, it was respectful. It was a huge success in that respect, in that they rode into the midst of the nation's capital and did not represent a threat in the way that most convoys might have. So instead, we had this peaceful approach, and it continues. You know, it's continuing to percolate within certainly the collective consciousness of Canadians, but even broader, you know, throughout the world. It was a world event in a sense. And this is all part of the notion of the return of a certain constellation of values, you know, that we're calling the feathered serpent. So, how to use the knowledge we gain through our temple of birth? How to bring that into a place where we're giving our creativity to that idea? How to bring these ideas into concrete manifestation? Well, back in the day, and this is where we start to pick up with Jo-Anne, because it was in 1994 that we became associated, and Jo-Anne participated in this particular event, this Earth Healing Weekend that I coordinated out at the Estonian Indian Park. And so what we can see here, by looking back, this was it took place in the first moon of the lunar year that we call the Temple of Monkeys, Artists, and Tricksters. And it very much was that kind of encounter. It really was. We had several highly respected elders with us, including Robert Boissier from New Mexico, Hunbat's Men, the Mayan elder from Mesoamerica. We had other native elders. We had Sweat Lodge. We had a special gathering place for children. And it rained continually for the whole event. But fortunately, we're under a huge arbor, and it really was an awesome convergence. And once again, this is me as initiator of that event. I'm looking to, how can I bring this knowledge, this sacred knowledge, into our modern circumstance? And that was one way. Another way, and this was one that Joanne also participated in. It was a 13-week workshop. So September 14th to December 7th, 1994. And I don't know, there might have been 15 or so of us for that extended period. And it was just a wonderful encounter. And it was bringing the feathered serpent spirit to life in our modern era. Bruce Martin participated. Bruce is now deceased, but he left a lineage of music.
The feathered serpent rises in the hearts of you and me. Mystic power awakening, keepers of frequency. I surrender to you, O Master Hunabku. I surrender to you, take care of me, Hunabku. Ti-tek tatayatal, O Yum Hunabku. Ti-tek tatayatal, Galanten Hunabku. Align the inner flame with the temple of your birth. Power of Quetzalcoatl, sun and moon and earth. I surrender to you, O Master Hunabku. I surrender to you, take care of me, Hunabku. Ti-tek tatayatal, O Yum Hunabku. Ti-tek tatayatal, Galanten Hunabku. Galanten Hunabku. Lil, 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 lil.
Now, another person who was a participant in that workshop was Joanne. And like the rest of the folks in that workshop, she was invited to consolidate what she had learned through the duration of the workshop and present herself in the context of this Temple of the Feathered Serpent, Spirit of the Buffalo Winter Solstice gathering at the Personal Best building in Calgary. And she did a wonderful thing. So by this point, Joanne is aware not only of the seventh moon hieroglyph in her temple, but the other 12. She's also aware of the new moon before her birth. And this is a factor that I will develop in a future presentation, because this opens up a whole huge realm of information and energy that is all specific to her birth pattern. And so she's in the process to this day of embodying that knowledge and expressing it. But on that particular juncture, I think this is where we go over to you, Jo-Anne.
Yeah. Okay. Can you hear me, Dwayne?
I can hear you.
I guess then everyone else should be able to as well, I guess.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that was great, Dwayne. Just for everyone else to know, as Dwayne mentioned, we've been back and forth here a bit, well, all along, because when it came to me thinking about my presentation, okay, what would it be? So I with my journey, I delved back into my notes of way back, like as Dwayne was saying, into the late 80s, early 90s, to find my notes and to find what the connection was. Because as with Dwayne and how we decided his temple of birth, we were sharing this presentation because we are both of the temple of birth is Kawak. So Dwayne and I are of the same birth temple. And so so I guess I will start with this. I hadn't, well, Dwayne hasn't seen my presentation either, and I hadn't seen his, so it's kind of really added the depth to this this whole journey that I've been on here. And so I will the slide he has on the the slide we're looking at, and where he's got my picture, this is where, like, this slide represents the more sort of 29 and a half years, as opposed to the lunation cycle that Dwayne keeps track of as each 29 and a half days. Like, Dwayne has been very committed to the following each moon cycle. Whereas looking at this picture here, this is still the same cycle. You can see where there's the new moon at the top, or the new, and you journey around this whole cycle. But what this whole cycle represents is 29 and a half years. Not, anyway. So I just wanted, with this one, he's pointing out where I've entered in the lunation cycle. So you can see the picture. That's where I've entered in this cycle when I was born. And then, of course, I haven't been keeping track of information. I will go back. Like, what this whole presentation has brought up for me is I'm going back to review these cycles and these years and everything to, it's kind of like a life review. So I will be going back to each of these years as we go along here, to really reflect back and see what comes in my memory and in my journey. So what if we go to the next slide, Dwayne, then it gives a little more, because just, I want you to make note of where I come in the cycle in my birth, because it will, I will refer back to this when I get to another slide. So this is the entrance of my birth. You can see there. So on the next slide.
Oh, just before you go there, I just wanted to this was an aside. Yeah. You see where Rudyard was born in the seed portion of the lunation of his birth moon. Mm-hmm. Arguelles was born, I think, 3 days after a new moon, and I'm born 5 days after a new moon. And whereas you are born just after the full moon. Mm. So
Yeah, thanks, because the clarity with others looking at this to be able to see the full
Yeah.
cycle, as you say, around the circle. Yeah, from new moon to full moon to new moon again within the, yeah. Thanks, Dwayne. Yeah.
And this is a mandala that we as a group could explore on one of our new moons, and just have counsel here around the circle, because we all have a cosmically delineated position, you know, that where we came into that moon cycle before our birth.
Yeah.
That'd be a fun encounter.
Yeah. So this is the next 29 and a half year cycle there. And I entered in at the top there, the new moon portion of this 29 and a half year cycle. I entered in there at age 12. And so this is one when Dwayne had done my Earth person astrological chart. At this point, I did fill in, you can see some of the writing around the circle. I did fill in the years, like different things that stood out to me within those years. And then on looking back at the bottom, which was the full moon aspect of that 29 and a half year cycle, at the bottom in the fulfillment or new moon aspect of that whole 29 and a half years, that's when I was sailing across the Atlantic. Like, now there's nothing more profound and fulfilling and huge, nothing as huge as that experience. So I mean, when I filled this out and realized where that happened within the cycle of this 29 and a half year period, it just, to me, was so profound. Like, it's, my goodness. I mean, anyway, the synchronicities and things that I'm finding as I'm going back and looking at these years and the cycles has been quite profound, and it's thrown me into lots of rabbit holes, I'll tell you. So then if you want to go to the next one, Dwayne. So here we are. So then I enter into the next 29 and a half year cycle here. And you can see where he's put the picture of me here. Now that's that in the cycle right there. So that's emergence, right, Dwayne?
Yeah.
So yeah, emergence, of course. So that is where the event in 1994 at the end of Dwayne's 13-week course that I attended, that he referred to. And so we were each participant throughout that, you know, learning about our temple and what, you know, anyway, what we were finding out or feeling or experiencing. And the invite to that event at the end of that course was to present in whatever way, sing, dance, poetry, anyway, in whatever way, present what it meant, how the person, a participant, experienced their temple of birth, what it meant, and so as I pondered what, I just pondered at the end of it, like, what is that for me? What for Kawak? I was born into the temple of Kawak, and Kawak is, I can reach those qualities. Some of the qualities are Kawak are transformation, light body activation, the lightning path, the thunder beings, initiation by fire, ecstasy of freedom. Those are just a few of the qualities of that temple of Kawak. And so as I was pondering that and being with that whole journey, somewhere out of, I don't know where I was or how, a piece of music just hit me. It was, that's it. That's the expression. And so I knew, my body knew how it would express. I knew how I would express Kawak. It was through my body. And I wanted to play the piece of music for you, but there was two things. For one, in order to really experience the energy of it, or what it was all about, it would have to be really clear and really be able to turn up the volume. And so it just was not going to work on the computer. Plus, not knowing the artist or whatnot, that copyright infringement, like, we had no idea. So I'm just going to give a bit of an explanation, and because for me, you can bring up the next picture, then the slide, Dwayne. This is, so to me, when I go back into that experience, as I have, going through this presentation, it's there. It comes back to me. It's in my body. It's in my cells. It's in my, and so with this dance, the music just encompassed it all. I stood in the center of the room to begin with, and the music was very sort of ethereal, and part of Kawak is purification. And so it was just ethereal music that I just stood there, and somehow that it just descended. It just kind of, the music was embodied as I stood there. And then there was a whack, like the music just went bang, a lightning path, and it just exploded. And then I was so fortunate, a woman that I had been working with one-on-one had this dress that was so perfect, and she loaned it to me, and it was, you can just get a little glimpse of it there. The material was that sort of weighted and heavy, but there was so much of it. So as I went around the room, the energy of the thunder beings just took me over. So it was around the room, just thunder beings were just building and building and building. And the skirt was just the perfect thing to be just expressing the whole energy. And then it built and it built and it built and it built. The energy just built. And then all of a sudden there was another crack. And then then you heard the rain, the lightning, and then you heard the soft rain coming down. It was just like the rain was just coming. And it was like, so for me, Kawak, and it is just so easy for me to go back there to connect in with that, because it was, Kawak was, that energy of Kawak to me was just radiating, just out of my body. It was just took me over. And so I just had to share that with you. To me, that's Kawak. That's an expression of Kawak. And I would like to, as I say, putting this together, I wanted to give you all an experience of Kawak that I experienced. And I was going to read you the Kawak prayer of sovereignty. I am a pillar of heaven come to earth. I am heartist, emissary of the planet mind. The measure of the cosmic force within my being is dedicated to the co-creation of the higher life of spirit. Wielding the sword of truth, I channel the will of the Creator, that all people may be liberated into solar mastery and Christ consciousness. The pulse of cosmic love within me animates my presence, and I gift you with the mysterious seed of the truth of eternal life. Now, if we go to the next slide that's being presented here, and and you know, when I went back over when I first delved into my notes and what this presentation was going to involve or be all about, or this was the first lunar cycle that was on the front of my binder, and it just jumped out at me loud and clear, in that there's several things about this. The first thing, I noticed the glyph of this whole cycle. In the middle there is Chimi. And two things hit me. I mean, the first things right away was, here I am presenting on, you know, as the new moon enters, as Chimi enters the new moon, right, that we're entering right now, is Chimi, temple of death. There's other qualities, but it's called the temple of death. And here on this cycle is Chimi, temple of death. Now, so I look at this cycle here, and I see at the top, which is the new moon of this whole, the new beginning of this whole cycle. There I am entering this year at 72 years old, and I'm entering on the Kawak. It's a new moon Kawak, and there's my temple of birth, Kawak, as I'm entering this cycle. So that caught my interest. All of that was caught my interest, and I got nervous and looked at this and thought about this and was with it, and I'm getting nervous again, but I'll talk through this. So I go around this cycle, so you'll see the years, because it's 29 and a half years, right? So I want to go to the bottom first. I'll come back up to where Neptune enters. You'll see where Neptune enters. I'll come back to that, but right now I'm going right around to the bottom of the full moon. Now, I've drawn a line there, and if you remember, my very first chart was I entered my birth. I entered here, fulfillment. I entered at this part of a 29-year cycle there, fulfillment. And I got thinking, it's kind of not scary, but realistic, I guess, realistic thinking, oh my goodness, am I in my last cycle here? Now, wouldn't that be something if I were to exit, if my exit date is around the same place as I entered in fulfillment of a cycle, and so then it's a sobering fact, but I guess it's realistic. I mean, we all have an expiration date, and so if that were the case, I'm not predicting this, and I have no idea, but that gives me 13 more years. So talk about a sobering effect there. I don't mean this I don't mean for us to be taking a dive over here, but let's go back up to where we've circled. Neptune enters this cycle up there where the circle is, and that's the very part of the cycle. The emergence there is where that profound event of Dwayne's, that profound event I had of experiencing Kawak and the dance and all of it. I'm just telling you my portion of it. I mean, there was so much involved in those years back then. So I thought Dwayne would be the person to talk about the significance here. It's, to me, there is something pretty powerful just thinking about that. Neptune entering this cycle, March 30th, 2025, right in the emergence part of this whole cycle. But I will let my Kawak brother, Dwayne, if you want to talk a little bit about our friend Neptune there.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And thank you for a beautiful journey here you've taken us on.
Yeah.
Yeah, this, like Joanne, I have these periodic experiences where there's an energy comes in and there's information coming from wherever, and I'm virtually taken over, and I just have to respond in some way in order to remain healthy. And it's not that long ago that I had that sort of experience regarding the passage of Neptune around the sun, and it's reached the very last degrees of that journey, and is coming to 0 Aries, which is the start of the whole zodiacal cycle. So I responded to what was coming in, and it's really on my radar, let's put it that way. But this was one expression that I have brought forth based on it's kind of an archetypal presence that just comes in and is just there, and it's just it's something that animates me in my research, and then I start picking up on synchronicities and those threads, and just keep pulling, and then every now and then, boom, out it comes, like this particular image. And we see there where we are today, September 14th, 2023. We're at the new moon coming into 11 Kimi. But what I really enjoy about this kind of imagery is the sense of, I'm imaging forth. I'm bringing that power to bear in my own personal life and in my larger life, in my social life. And I don't know, it's just the way I operate. And with this kind of imagery, I think it helps. It certainly helps me keep on track. As Joanne was indicating, I've been keeping on track of the new moon back to 1972. So it's definitely who I am. And I realize that as I'm aging here, it's becoming more and more of a collective phenomenon that we're dealing with here. and the passage of Neptune to the, the start of a new Neptune cycle, coming, to 0 Aries. That is a it's not just a personal encounter that's to be had. There's something collective here, and I'm looking now to within our own group here for your input as to how is this going to unfold? How can we bring our group creativity to bear on this emerging Neptunian phenomenon? And I'm looking forward to sharing more and more with you all. Now, as we move into this Kimi moon, some keywords: surrender, revelation, release, victory, warrior, triumph, humility, mourning, catharsis, crying, forgiveness, transmutation. So that's quite a handful there, but I've found that the thing that gets me through the best is surrender. That's where we let go of the manifestations of ego and simply open up to what really wants to come through beyond our control. So here's to a wonderful Kimi journey over the next 30 days, and onward and inward.
And is there one more, Dwayne? Can I? Oh, sorry.
Oh,
can you hear me, Dwayne?
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Because I had wanted to do the little about Chikchan before of your art.
Okay, it must be coming up shortly, I think. Yeah, I'm not sure where that picture is right in this moment, but I think it might come up after the slide. Is that okay if we just?
But oh yeah, okay, yeah, because yeah, sure, that we can.
Oops.
Oh,
yeah. Well, there it is. There.
Yeah, okay, because I thought I just wanted to say a little bit about because I was getting back in touch with the moons and the energies and the cycles with my temple of birth of Kawak. Then I realized that the moon energy I was in as I was working on this presentation was Chikchan, the previous new moon, and so this is one of Dwayne and his partner sorry, Teresa. My head's in too many places here. This is art of the new moon that Dwayne and Teresa created for the new moon. He can explain more, I'm sure, better than me, but of Chikchan. And I have this piece of art. When I was out visiting Dwayne one time, I saw all this art that they had done for each new moon. And this one just jumped out at me. The energy in here just spoke so strongly to me. And so realizing that's the energy I was in as I'm working through my presentation here, anyway, it rang, the energy in there just seemed to fit when I realized, I'm working with the Chikchan energy here, which is the passion and motivation and integration and sensing and instincts. So it just added an understanding as I, with each new moon now, with what I went through with my temple of birth being the Kawak, then I'm working under this energy of Chikchan, the energy I was in, and then we are now opening up today the new moon of Chimi. Now I haven't spent time on that because I've been in Chikchan energy and my Kawak energy, and so it's now for me to spend the next few days or whatever realizing, okay, what the energy of the new moon that is entering now. So and Dwayne started to, and I'm sorry, Dwayne, you can maybe.
Oh, no problem. That's great.
Yeah, and so yeah, I will be spending time with what Chikchan's all about now. So did you want to say something here, Dwayne, about this, or?
Yeah, just to let people know, this was the 11th of 13 paintings that Teresa and I did together during the Temple of Birth. And this particular painting, while we worked on these together, of course, we're back and forth. Well, while she was working on her portion of the painting, I was on my computer exploring GarageBand on the Mac. So this is a music creation software. And I started creating a song to go with the emerging image that we had. And by the time we were finished the painting, I had this song. And we both felt that it really expressed the energetic behind the image. And it was clear to us then that, well, we've got to do a song for each one of the paintings. And that's exactly what we did in an extended creative, very creative period in our lives. We co-created 13 paintings, 13 songs, wrapped it all up into a DVD that included video of each painting, parts of the process of painting it, parts of, just working with the final image. So matching the paintings up with the songs, and they're on my Facebook, not my Facebook, my YouTube channel. They're there for free. You can listen to all 13 and watch the video portion of it as well. It was from the era before high def, so it's like it's getting to be old technology that we were using, and but it's very colorful, and the music, we've had a lot of great feedback on it. They're quite extended periods, or duration. Some are 9 or 10, 12 minutes long, but they all were focused on expressing the image in music. So that was a real novel experience for the two of us, and we quite enjoyed it. But yeah, to go back to, as we often do with each new moon call, we look at the upcoming moon cycle and the keynotes of the hieroglyph and number. In this case, we're in the realm of Kimi. I'll just share the text here. In the realm of transition, the butterfly emerges from its cocoon, symbolizing profound transformation. It is a time to embrace change and surrender to the process of letting go. Release attachments to the old and welcome the new with open arms. Trust in the divine plan and allow the winds of transformation to carry you towards your highest potential. Embody the essence of the butterfly and gracefully embrace the journey of transformation. Well, as with every hieroglyph, there's also a shadow side to deal with and to contemplate. So the shadow we have here for Kimi, in the depths of transition, shadows linger, revealing the discomfort and uncertainty that accompanies profound transformation. It is a time to confront the fears and resistance that arise when letting go of the familiar. Embrace the discomfort and uncertainty as catalysts for the growth and evolution. Release attachments to old patterns and beliefs that no longer serve you. Surrender to the shadows and trust in the transformative power that lies within. Embody the courage to face the unknown and emerge reborn from the depths of darkness. Last word I'll give to Jose Arguelles. Human history is the struggle to remain open. Time and again, human consciousness fixates and slams the door on its greatest gift, the open-endedness of infinite possibilities. Okay, folks, there you go.
I guess it's safe to unmute now.
That's right.
Well, I'll jump in if I may.
Yeah, thank you, Joanne. Thank you, Dwayne. That was good. Thank you.
Yeah, our pleasure.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. That was very timely. And I'm glad that I made the time to come today because that is exactly what I needed to hear for the space where I am right now. So thank you very much. Very blessings. And I'll see you guys next time because I really have to go now.
Okay.
Take care.
Thank you, Shirley.
Thank you.
I have a few questions I can ask you, Dwayne, and sorry, Joanne, to try to help me understand all this, because I haven't even had a chance to read through Dwayne's book yet since I've been back. But I have lots of time now that I'm retired. One question I have for you, Dwayne, in the cycles, the diagrams you had up with the different dates for Joanne and yourself, the lunar phases go in counterclockwise. And is there significance to that as opposed to starting at the top with new moon and going clockwise?
Well, there's sunwise and there's moonwise.
Okay. Sun goes clockwise, or?
I think so.
Yeah, okay. I just noticed that and not used to going counterclockwise. So
So if you, I'm just imagining now looking out, sunrise over the mountain here. The sun is then moving to sunset. If we have the sun at the mountain and the moon, then a new moon phase coming on, like a crescent moon, it's to the left of the sun and it's moving back counterclockwise.
okay, well, that's fine. I wanted to ask.
Good to be outside and look at the sky, you know, when you've got the moon
Picture, yeah. I wanted to ask Joanne what was the music that she used or played for the Kawak experience back in '94?
That Thomas, I had you know, I was going to research that and see if I could come up with, but I don't even know, like I have it on my my iTunes or on my music system here anyway, and I don't have an artist attached to it. I don't have an album attached to it. It's really it's a mystery to me even where I found it or how I got it. So I mean that just kind of to me adds to the I mean I have the music. I play it. I can play it
Wow.
myself and let Kawak take me over again, but unfortunately I can't do that. I have no idea how to. I'll play it for you someday, Thomas.
Sure. I mean, what type of instruments were there? Like drums and flutes, or
Hmm.
do you remember guitar, or it's kind of native music, or
Oh, interesting.
You know,
Can I?
my first impression, and I thought maybe it was from Chariots of Fire. You ever see that movie?
yeah?
Very similar kind of build up, you know, just gets
Okay.
bigger and bigger. And at one point it goes from here to just like that.
Okay.
Really
Super.
quite. And just the way she described her dance, you know,
Yeah.
it kind of exploded at some point there.
If if I can find anything at all, Thomas, I will let you know, and I will
Sure.
play it someday, if not on in here, but in person.
Sure. Sounds good.
Well,
Um,
Joanne, you did email me an MP3, I believe.
That's true. Now, do you
Did you
think
email that to Thomas?
I could? Okay. Do you think like that doesn't interfere with any copyrights, right? Okay.
Well, you're just sharing music.
Yeah, sharing music. Okay. Well, yeah, I might be able to then, Thomas.
okay. Just curious.
It really is
And
a
then
nice piece.
Yeah.
when you talked about Jamie, the words I wrote down here, which were very fitting with what I just went through yesterday, handing in my retirement letter with effective immediately, no
Good
notification.
for you.
Well, I was sort of inspired, I guess is the word. Just yeah, got to a point I said, I cannot do this anymore. I'm done. So the words of Jamie were surrender and release. And then Dwayne, I think you had said, I wrote down the words you said, let go of ego. And I'm part of my spiritual journey has been through the 12-step program for Al-Anon. And one of the 12 steps has many little phrases, they use a word for it, I can't think of it, but short phrases. And the one that I connected with most was let go and let God. And that's like letting go of the ego and let spirit have its way. And tonight I'm actually going to go back to my home group because it is the 12 steps are a grounding for me, a base that I can operate from, keeps me on the straight and level sort of thing.
Yeah, right on.
And then I think it was the second last slide you put up about going forward. I think it was the shadow and the essence of this moon. So embrace change and let go. Well, I did that yesterday. Release attachments to the old, definitely. And then courage to face the unknown. And I am quite excited, happy, content with my future chapter. And I have no idea what shape it'll take. And in the past, that would have terrified me, not having a clear path. And safe, as I told Dwayne and Teresa, most of my life was based on safety, security, and comfort. And so facing the unknown without those parameters is exciting, very exciting. So, and this is exciting for me to start delving into your book more. You can tell Teresa I'm halfway through her book. It's like a page turner novel for me, and go forward from there. So those are just my comments from today. But thank you for the presentation from both of you again.
Wow, you're most welcome. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, please.
I find interesting when I look at my notes and it says that this freedom convoy happened January 29. And then when you put up Joanne's birthday, her birthday is January 29. I thought, oh, no.
No, my birthday is February 14.
Oh,
January 29 would be your new moon before birth.
Oh, I think that's what it was, because there was a date, it says winter solstice relating to Joanne's birthday, January 29, 1949. So I guess that would be the new moon before your actual birthday. So I thought that was interesting that those two dates, when it happened, just January 29, that's when this freedom convoy happened, Canada. And I noticed that that was another January 29 in your journey. So I thought it's interesting how this the timing kind of intertwine is the kind of the present moment and what happened just before your birth. So I really see in this whole journey the cycles, how that goes in almost like in a rhythm. Yeah. Yeah. And thank you for bringing the chimney in. And I definitely resonate with the words of surrender. We started our meeting today with the word of surrender, and surrender to embracing discomfort and courage to what is the next step. So I'm in that phase of moving through, and yeah, just letting go whatever. Even I say just letting go whatever wants to go. I even don't know what wants to go. I came to the point when I said, yeah, I just totally surrender what wants to go and leave and change. Looking at the world condition, like a global changes and all the all of the 5 elements. Like Steve and I be working with these 5 elements on this week, and today is our last day of the fire week, and the next day is the earth, and next week or tomorrow is the earth starts. And I just found it was fascinating looking at what happened in Morocco and what happening in Libya and what's happened in Hawaii and what is happening, apparently some volcanoes kind of working. So I just really came into my consciousness to see that these 5 element changes in my human body, what I am witnessing in the changing in the world. So it's quite fascinating to see the change, and through this change, I love that idea as we saying, how can I bring the feathered serpent spirit into this change? I am hearing that there is healing weekend and workshops, and our group here, I think this gathering and sharing is part of that. We are bringing the feathered serpent spirit to actually I noticed that the words is return and restore and reflect. So as I said, today is Mercury going out retrograde, but the other 6 planets are still in retrograde. So we are still working with the word of RE, whatever is restore, reflect, rejuvenate, remember. I'm fascinated with how many words kind of hanging around with the letter R and E. So I am, as you said, Joanne, that you will review. I noticed that you said the word review of these other periods. So I think I'm surrendering to this time of review and reflect, and out of this process will be rejuvenating Feathered Serpent. Thank you.
Right on.
Yeah, I'll go on the re-word. The word for Fire Week is reignite. And I kind of felt that in Joanne's presentation, that there was an excitement, a reignition. And of course, with the fire, there's a purification. You mentioned the purification. And when you showed the picture of your red dress, I said, oh, I wore the right shirt today. Connected with the red dress. And as I look out the window, my favorite tree to look at in the fall is turning red already. Same color. So there's like this spatial thing going on. And at the beginning, when Dwayne was sharing, I'm getting clearer on that you mentioned this myth, and it's the myths and the myths. There's so many myths, but I see that what we're doing is bringing this myth to reality, feels like. And it's very deep, which leads me to the next thing. There's temples of birth, then there's the yearly temple, then there's the monthly moon. And I'm going, okay, so how do I integrate this? That's the question that comes up for me. So how do I integrate? There's so many possibilities with the work, but I don't seem like I can do it all. It's just, there's a lot there. So, but I did follow your instructions from the New Moon Zoom message and found my new moon of birth and Sophia's new moon of birth. And when we were last presentation, it was like, okay, so where does this moon go? Where does it go in my temple? Like there's all this. And I realized it's 10 Ish, and 10 Ish is already in my temple. It's right, it's there at the 10th spot.
Right.
It shows up. And then in listening, I'm going, oh, it sounds almost like the importance of that 10 Ish moon is almost like the importance of a rising sign in the horoscope. Yeah. And I go, oh, this is my new moon rising. I'm rising out of that. The importance of it, as you said, the foundation. And so that feels like where I'm at with the work. And yeah, where it goes with the Neptune to Aries, it feels very significant for me because Neptune's in my Pisces right now, and then it'll go to the 0 point, which is my birth date. So yeah, I'm very interested in that unfolding.
Yeah, that's a
and so you have the 13 moons on in music on your CD, or I'm wondering when there's 7 more moons, isn't there? Like there's 20 moons in total.
Yeah.
So I guess you could have a second. You could create a second cassette.
In another life.
like you were talking
That was a
about
lot of work.
yeah, right. Like you were talking about the technology and how it changes so quickly.
Yeah.
Oh no, maybe you could put those on 8-track.
Well, but
Yeah,
as you say, the
was
technology
very,
is changing.
yeah.
Hey, you and I are
changes
both using AI on a regular basis, and
Yeah.
definitely opening up new possibilities. You
Mhm.
can do a lot more in a shorter period of time.
Yeah.
Like the Kimi shadow and essence section that I shared with you is
Mhm.
part of a book or keynote that I'm preparing that has all 20 glyphs and all the essence and the shadow side, along with an image for each glyph. So that's all come out of working with Deep Dream Generator and with the Chat GPT.
Mhm.
You know, and I've pulled a lot of information together, and you know, within a week I've got, you know, a good substantial project, and then it's a matter of, you know, refining it. So
And
So
Steve,
I'm just curious of your thoughts on the depth of the work and the integration, or say somebody that's just coming into and noticing the lightning path. Like,
I had one. Can I just
yeah,
think to address or sort of earlier, Stephen? Sorry to. I think it
no,
stays,
no problem. No, I'm done.
stays with no. I think it stays with the same thread that you just asked.
Mm.
But for me too, like what I found with Dwayne's work, like it's so extensive. It can be so overwhelming. I mean, he's been on the path forever. I think for lifetimes. It's my thought. And so and I didn't stay with it, like following the moons like he has and all. And
Mm.
presentation, as you saw, is me going back to just kind of tapping into what maybe I did know or where I did enter. But what I'm finding for me, that's what I really had to do, was just, okay, it's overwhelming. It can be overwhelming. There's just so much, so extensive. So I started to, okay, here's with, where I started, then my new moon of birth, and then the synchronicities that, oh, my new moon was Kawak, what are the energies of Kawak, what, you know, and then I did recently with this journey found and thank you, Sophia, for mentioning that date, because I did make note of the new moon before my birth, which I think other presentations were going to go deeper. But then I went to that, and it was like, oh my goodness, the synchronicities there. Like that new moon was Akbal, and all the qualities that are Akbal, that was being part of me or whatever prior to my birth, kind of thing. So just so really the tiniest threads for me, I had to not get overwhelmed. It's like, oh my God, now that's quite a synchronicity. And now I'm finding, Sophia is saying the 29th of December, the Freedom Convoy. Like I didn't travel with them virtually, but I traveled with them with my heart and soul and energy and just freedom, go, you know. And so that's very significant to me too, that date. And thanks for pointing that out, is the new moon before my birth. And if it's connected to the Freedom Convoy, I mean, my goodness. So sorry, Steve, I just wanted to.
Oh, no apology necessary. Gives me more information about
right,
the depth of the work and how you're working with it.
Right. And yeah, and just sort of piecemeal synchronicity. Oh, to this step, to this. Oh, then this. Oh, check this out. So yeah.
I'm getting that it's how my temple dances with the current temples and
Good.
moons. There's a lot
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
Just to bring in the dance element.
I like that. You got to dance with it all, really. And just one more thing I wanted that came to me too with all of this, and how I had talked about that last slide and possibly an exit point. It's like there's that aspect like, oh no, I don't want to exit. No, I'm not going to exit. No way. No, I'm not. And it's like, well, who has control over this? But what I wanted to, what I'd like to bring in, I'd like to bring the Kawak energy into that, okay, like Kawak, okay, so can I dance into the exit? Like Kawak really is about, what are some of the words, like, transformation and, ecstasy of freedom and the light body and whatnot. So I'm thinking, okay, rather than go into like what Chimi is saying, which I have to look at and be with, and Chimi and death and release and letting go and everything's there. It's like, okay, that's a fact. I'll get in there, but no, my Kawak is gonna dance its way out of here. It's gonna, like, hopefully, or not hopefully, the energy in here is like, yeah, okay, what's next? Okay, let's just go for it. Let's just go for it. So I'm getting animated, I guess. So I'll, okay. Okay.
It looks good on you.
Great.
Thank you. Yeah. I'll just keep on dancing. I'm just going to keep on dancing.
Great.
I went to a memorial service, not a service, for a sister of a friend of mine that passed away suddenly within about a week or two. And so they had a remembrance gathering for her on Sunday. And I didn't know her personally, but I went in support of my friend. And yeah, it's her life was a celebration. They had photos and a video and personal items on display. And I only knew my friend. I didn't know any of the family or friends or her husband. But yeah, it was a real celebration of her life. And she died about 66 and some unexpectedly. And it was just nice to see the celebration going on, gathering, a feast, food to eat, and lots of conversation. And yeah, doesn't have to be like a funeral that's somber and, like funerals traditionally have been, wear black and very somber, unless it's an Irish wake. The Irish know how to celebrate departures, I guess. So that's maybe one change. Well, one experience I just had on Sunday. But that's maybe a bit of a change in our culture, is to celebrate people's lives and not mourn the loss so much. So yeah, just looking at some of the imagery that Dwayne has created, whatever the next life is like, I contemplated many times trying to imagine what the afterlife, spirit life might be like without physical body, and can't really couldn't really imagine how you can exist without physical body other than consciousness. But just some of the imagery that you put out there, Dwayne, it's like, well, who says you can't have a physical body or a spirit body that you still have a body and you still have creative powers. Sometimes I've imagined that we're just reborn on a totally different planet. We're searching for new planets that can sustain life as we know it here. So sometimes I just think, well, we're reborn on another planet, totally different life elements, and yeah, carry on. So, but as on the lightning path and the Mayan, just the imagery that you're sharing, Dwayne, it's like there's infinite possibilities I can't even imagine. So I'll just be present in this life at the moment and know that there's something beyond when we go through that passage door. That's comforting too.
Well said. Sari, say hi.
Hi.
You're very pensive today.
Yeah, I am. Well, I've been working on the moon mails that I sent out too, right? And I use Rudyard's imagery. Okay.
Yeah.
So this new moon, the image is a coat of arms embellished with jewels, like it's a very royal looking kind of thing. So Rudyard's explanation goes with you know, this is a time, this is a lunar month where it's important to find our own coat of arms. And and when I did the writing about it, it's about going back through our own ancestry and seeing if there's somebody there that might have been a good teacher or a good artist, or, you know, it's not just about being royal, it's about being royal in whatever method that you work with, right? So last week we had a cousin from Holland come to visit,
Right.
and we had so much fun, right? And so there's stories about family that are being taught and everything like that, right? And he told a story that I'd never heard before. Like, I was born in Belgium, and my grandfather ran the brick factory where I lived until I was age 9 when he came to Canada. And my Opa and my Oma, my grandpa and grandma, helped the resistance in World War II. There was tunnels underneath the kiln, and they were hiding Jews in there. And they had a shortwave radio underneath the kiln. I'd heard that story, but I had never heard about the tunnels, you know?
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, okay, I'm in. And that's my ancestors that I want to emulate, right? So it was really a very inspiring kind of thing. And so I'm still working on the moon mails. I send those out to clients and friends every month.
Right.
And acknowledged Mark, my cousin, who told me that story, you know, and it made the whole thing more enriched, right? The whole, and so I acknowledge the new moon every month, because I do the moon mails and I, you know, do my own rituals. And I know years ago, Dwayne, you started me on that you know, the moon phases and the moon before birth, the new moon before birth, right?
Yeah.
And mine is a rose window, one panel broken by war.
Wow.
And that's, you know, where I was born, there was war going on all around,
Yeah.
you know, with both sides, right?
Wow.
And so a lot of my parents, you know, were actually involved, like it touched something very deep in me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So now I've come, you know, that circle with the lunation cycles. I've made, you know, half my life. I'm 76 now, but half my life I've made notes about what was happening, right? So I'm really motivated now, Jo-Anne. Thank you for completing it up to now.
That's great.
Yeah, so thank you so much, both of you, for that wonderful presentation.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
That's great. So how do we get on your newsletter?
My newsletter?
Yeah.
It's not a newsletter. It's
Or
the
moon
moon, the moon mails that I sent out. Well, it's for family and a couple of the people that used to host my new moon gatherings. You know, I send them because they supported me all those years, right? So
right?
I how many I send? Probably 30, and it takes me a few days, you know. And I write something and then I personalize it for everybody with their charts.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's my commitment. So it's a bit of work, you know, but so I don't have a newsletter per se, but it's for, yeah. And the letting go part, you know, I just had 2 requests for charts, and I've really stepped back from my work because I've got to focus on my healing and whatever that looks like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. So what I could do is I could send you the written part without the personalizing. I could send you that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to hear what you have to say on this.
Yeah. Okay, I'll do that.
Thank you.
Others?
Sure appreciate it today.
Oh, that's great.
Mhm.
I was trying to, well, I took a photo, but I don't know how to share it on Zoom, but I just took a photo of a rainbow coming through a crystal I have in the window.
Mm.
So I can email it to Dwayne, but yeah, just
You show us,
rainbow,
hold it up
rainbow.
on your camera or your phone.
Oh, I tried. It's gone now. The
Oh,
sun's
I see.
moved.
Okay.
But anyhow, it just
Rainbows have a way of doing that.
Yeah.
yeah,
And the sun moves clockwise.
yeah, right. This made me think of Quetzalcoatl and Rainbow Warrior. I don't know where
Oh,
that's coming from, but I'll explore Rainbow Warrior.
right on.
Neat.
Hello, Barbara or Arlene. Haven't heard from them.
Yeah.
Love to hear from them.
Don't be shy.
Arlene told me I'm just quiet vocally this morning. So I asked her, well, does that mean you're talking to yourself? and just last week, I gave her some snake serpent rings. So I texted her some information about Quetzalcoatl, which I couldn't remember how to spell exactly, but I managed to find it on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
But she's exploring snake serpent energy. And yeah, Quetzalcoatl's a feathered serpent. I've learned that much from Dwayne.
Right on.
And that goes way back to harmonic convergence. I've never forgotten that. Quetzalcoatl.
You got her. You got her.
Yeah. So she might, anyhow, I did tell her if she needed help to provide some feedback to just use her robot.
There we go.
Boy.
Wow.
So I'll leave that up to her if she wants to jump in.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Barbara, hello. Come on. You're muted.
Barbara, we need to hear you. Where are you, Barbara?
Can you hear us? Nope, there's Arlene coming back.
You've got an unmute button.
Does it make a difference? Did you mute everybody, Dwayne? I don't know if that makes.
No, no, and I've asked her to unmute according to the.
Great. No.
I'm just asking Arlene if she has anything she wants to share.
Well,
She's muted too.
Barbara just jumped off.
Oh, Arlene might be typing something on her robot, she calls it. Well, she can hear
Yes.
us at least.
Here she comes. While we're waiting, I guess that chimi with the death, it doesn't have to be actually dying. I guess
that's right.
I can look at it with maybe there's things that don't serve me anymore. I can let
Absolutely.
those go, let
Yeah.
those die off.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd like to look at that. And then in terms of the coat of arms, I know I have Fui Moose on my coat of arms for Bruce, which is
Oh, here we go.
have been.
Are you
We
still
have
hearing
been,
me?
so yeah, now we can hear you. So I've discovered, thank you, Siri, for the coat of arms idea.
You're welcome.
And I'm done.
No, it's there. No.
Great.
So, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, nothing much. It's like I did my whole shop. I renovated in my online shop, which I had totally neglected because of no time. I didn't know what to do with it. So I renovated. Since all the planets were retrograde, there was nothing else to do than just jump into and keep on doing it. And then I went to the dentist because it's also the time to do dentist work. So that's all I can share with you guys. And it's enough for me. It's just enough, I'm just keeping myself. Saturn is sitting in my neck and saying work, work, work. And it's fun, I even like it because I got such a new push into being creative. All the little doodles I did send you, Dwayne, I'm putting it in the store now.
Oh, good.
So it's fun. Yeah. And bumblebees and all kinds of stuff, new stuff is coming out.
Fantastic.
So the renovation was good. So renovation, it's wonderful. And I use the GPT for text because sometimes I just don't fucking know what to write.
Right.
What? And then I get on the nerves of the GPT guy who's sitting behind the screen and say, do something with it.
Right
and he's
on.
just asking for more information. And if I'm in a good mood, I give him some more information and he makes lovely stories out of a sentence. It's so great. So I have a lovely story about the blue lotus dolphin circle in Tibetan Himalayan nowhere land. It's very, very beautiful, It's like they invested a lot of writers and very beautiful written, beautiful words and nice little story. So I can put that in. So level up my Redbubble store. And I have to see what's next with I'm busy. And a friend came by, she gave me she did like a healing thing today. And she said, I'm just gonna make you shift from the old paradigm to the new. And it was really cool. She sort of had this Reiki kind of thing, just going over my body. And then she said, first I'm gonna put some music on. She did put on some Hawaiian music. you know, like really smooth and soft. And she said, now I'm gonna switch you from the Atlantean place into, I'm gonna shift you into the Hawaiian, Lemurian kind of time span. And you make the shift, look, like this. And it was wonderful.
That's great.
So she really, and just before that, I thought I'm gonna do another tarot set reading with reading each star sign to do the paradigm shift. See what's coming. I have no idea so I'm just gonna open myself up and see if there's something coming in for the star signs. But with the theme, just asking for it, you know, just yeah. See what happens. And that's all what we can do in a way. And it's a shift today. I feel really like, even it was so tough. Today with this new moon, something opened up. And by the way, the earthquake here in Morocco, which is like opposite from us, it's just across the ocean. The whole night I was dreaming. In this night when the quake happened, I was dreaming, and I saw a comet coming close to the Earth and playing with the magnetic field of the Earth. So it sucked the energy out of the Earth of this comet. And in the same time, in Morocco, there was this earthquake. And when I woke up, I didn't know, and I was exhausted. I mean, it was an intense dream. I don't know where I was that I could see a comet. I saw it, you know. You can see what kind of level I was on. So I'm trying to ground myself with stones right now, because it's like intense information coming through. So I don't really know. I can prove anything, but the dream proved for me that all these earthquakes are connected to the comet. And it's a big one. It's an intense one. I did post some pictures, and it has like bits and pieces in there, which are really like almost like other little planets or pieces, huge pieces inside. So it's an intense one. So I don't know what kind of energy this comet has, but comets are really well, it must be something very intense connected to the Earth. And since you are the dragon master, so you can maybe explain it better, what that dream maybe meant or what it is. Because it's definitely the feathered serpent in a way. So it shakes us up or whatever.
Yeah. So is this
or
the
places.
the comment that you alerted me to a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah.
There's one coming in.
It's there. It's there. And it started when it entered in. It started on the 8th, I think. It came in. And from then on, the earthquake started. Right. And then I looked up the Moroccan kind of thing. I looked it up, and there's one guy who has like the Earth, and he said it was an antipode explosion, and on the other side in New Zealand there was the real earthquake. So the earthquake in New Zealand was so strong that it reached out, because normally there are no earthquakes in Morocco in this central central part. It's not actually an area where there are usually earthquakes. So it was very unusual. And I was, and with this dream together, it made sense that something happens with this comet. And I think it's there until the 17th. So before it leaves, when it entered, it did hit. And I think when it leaves, it could be the 17th, if my information is right. There could be another big stuff coming. So that's of course, it's energy. It's interfering into the magnetic energy of Gaia. So she has a great time, I think, with these comets.
Wow. Keep an ear out for more on that.
Yeah, I think it's like when you go into the eagle view, like in the eagle energy, then you can see things more, and even in the dreams, you can see things in a wider perspective, like, like on the computer, zoom in and zoom out. And that's probably, it was intense. It was like in my dream, it was more like some scientist explaining it to me, what happens. Because I could see the magnetic field coming in and out. It was like a soup, or like a mist, like misty energy. I could see exchanging between the comet and the Earth. Well, you have it. Welcome.
Like that. Well, we're just up to 2 hours, you guys. But, Harley, is there anything you'd like to share? We're about to shut her down.
It's just ironic in a way, but in line with synchronicity on the time when the serpent came into my life, as it represents power and transformation. So, as they say, on to the next.
Thanks, Arlie. Well said.
Well said. And off we go.
On to the next.
Love you guys.
Thank you
So
all.
much.
Thank you.
See you again in cyberspace.
Thanks,
Thank you. Love you. See you next time. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. Awesome. Yeah, awesome.